Alright. Now we get started. Alright. Table. Blank table's done. How do I paint it, do you ask? I just dump the paint on there and spread it out. It's easy. Now, the whole layout idea, building our train layout, this is, think of it as kind of a step-by-step where you get to enjoy going through this with me and do it yourself if you want. I was inspired by videos as well, and I was inspired by friends who have really awesome layouts of their own. I decided to start with a 4x8 table. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Alright, so I got me this easel. Yeah. I got me this whiteboard. I know I'm old enough to have a chalkboard, but got me a pointy stick. Ha ha! I can point with. You shall not pass! If you're not having fun, you're doing something wrong. Rules to live by. So, I ended up with a 4x8 base for my table because Andrew and I built this and it was the right size for what I wanted to do, at least to start with. And every time I work on it, it's kind of like having Andrew here with me. Since he's out in the world making a name for himself, like all kids who grow up do, well, I miss him, but that's the way of things. Area of layout. How big is your room that you want to put it in, if you're going to put it in a room? That's important to know. How much of the room do you want it to take up? Do you want it to take up every square inch where you crawl into your room and pop up in the middle and you have trains all around you? Do you want it on just one wall? Do you want it to be able to slide underneath the bed so you can put it out of the way when you want to do other things? Not everybody has a dedicated train room. Some people do. Some people, since it does take up a lot of area, that was my first one. My father made a little track and we slid underneath the bed. So we could do other stuff, but we could still train hobby. In my case, the table is going to start off with an 8 foot, that's for feet, by 4 feet. That's this table. What scale do we want to run? I've already decided I wanted an N scale layout. I mean, I already have the G scale for shows and such, but Andrew runs N scale, and I wanted something that I could share with Andrew when he came over. He could bring his trains and we could run them on this layout together, and it would be a lot of fun. In my case, N scale. You'll have to decide how much room do you have for doing what you would like to do. Maybe N scale is a little small for you. It's kind of hard to see the details. Maybe you want something bigger. I'll show you. Here's a good example of scale. What scale do you want to run? 4x8 table seems pretty big, and it is pretty big. Here's G scale track. This is the minimum radius that you can do for G scale for the modular pieces, unless you're going to bend your own. As you can see, the table, even as big as it is, isn't big enough for this. It would have to be another foot out just to accommodate the minimum radius for G scale. Here is double track for N scale. I put this down here and I got about 4 inches on both sides. No problem. And if I wanted to, I could do 2 of these side by side. That's a lot of track for a small area. Now that we've decided that N scale is the way to go for us, me, Dad's trainer, what type of track do we want to use? Not all track is the same. There's a lot of different manufacturers of track. Some people would prefer to put down their track and put down their own railroad ties and build the whole thing from scratch just like you would. For people just starting out, I'd say more modular track works better, especially till you get the feel of it, and see where it goes from there. In this case, piece of modular track. This is a piece of Kato track, or Kato, depending on who you are. It gets confusing. We're going to go with Kato here. Probably because I grew up with the Green Hornet. I don't know. I've talked to a lot of friends that do N scale. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. I am using the wealth of their knowledge to get kind of a leg up so I don't have to make the same mistakes that they made. And they did the same thing with their friends. And their friends did the same thing with their friends. It's the way the community works. Being alone in a room, you'd think I'm all alone just putting this up by myself. But I guarantee you, it is a group effort. And most of the people are very happy to lend a hand. If I need extra help, friends come over and help me put things in place, because this is a heavy table. I got to lift it up, got to put the legs under it, stuff like that. They help with that. So, we are going to, got to find my marker. I don't know why I keep putting down the wrong thing. I just got N scale on the mind. Kato track. That's what we're starting with. It's important to make sure that whatever type of track you decide on, does the manufacturer still make it? That's important. There's a lot of good deals to be had out there for track, but some of the companies don't make it anymore, or the companies don't exist anymore. In this case, I have 2 suppliers local. We have 2 hobby shops, easily driving distance, a lot of great friends there, and anything I need, I can get it within a week if they don't have it. But they generally have everything I want. And I get to talk to the people there to find out, does this actually work well? Are there advantages to it? Are there other things that are even better? It's a service you really don't get when you just do it online. That's why I usually, pretty much always say, if you can go to your local store and talk to them about it, or go to people and talk to them about it, you get a much better understanding of what you're doing. Now, these things end up costing a bit of money. Not as much as you think, but if you're going to be investing that much time, a lot of time, and money, it's important to try to do the best job you can. And that's what we're doing here. Kato is the way we decided to go. What kind of scene do I want for my table? Well, I'm sorry. What kind of scene do I want for my table? Some people want a battlefield, like an army scene. That's pretty awesome. Detailed. Some people want a country scene, where it's like going through the country. Some people would want like a dock scene where boats are coming up and they're unloading in that. Some want an industrial park. I thought about that, but I work in a factory, and I tell you, when I come home, I don't want to build a factory. I want to use this as a way to let my imagination just go wild. For this base part of the table, my scene is going to be a train yard. Get my pointer. Train yard. The reason I want to do a train yard, which doesn't sound overly exciting, is I had bigger plans for this table. And a train yard gives me the opportunity to be able to put and store trains, so I'm not always taking them on and off the track. I can park them here, and then I can pull them up and run them when I want to. The way I'm going to do this, I'm going to put the train yard here, I think, and I'm going to do double helix. I'm going to make a loop of track that goes up to a second layer for an actual layout. So I can store the trains down here, and that's what we're going to be working on now. And then I'll have an actual layout on top of it that we can run trains, and we can just bring up the trains that we want to run. Kind of fun. If all you have is a train that just goes around a circle, that's just fun to set up and just let it go. But a lot of people that enjoy the layouts, enjoy building them, also enjoy working the yards. Running the trains back and forth, there's a certain amount of, I don't know, I find it kind of peaceful. And I find it fun. And there are a lot of games that we can play with it. We'll go over those later. So, for this table, we're going to do a yard. A type of train yard. Track design. Very important. I keep forgetting. I'm sorry. Track design. Track design is very important. How do you want to design your track? There are a couple ways to go on about doing it. One way is a template. These templates, you would take a pencil and you draw in, and you move it around, and you would draw it all out, and it would have the shapes of what you wanted to do. That's kind of old school method. I've done it before. It works well. You have to be very careful on where everything lays out. And it's kind of hard to get a lot of detail in there. And you're always erasing and moving things around. Another method is freeform. I'm just going to get a bunch of track and throw it down here and just kind of see how it all turns out. That never really works well for me because I like to plan things out, especially something like a train yard. I like the lines to be nice and straight. I like a lot of functionality in it. And I like to try and get the most bang for my buck for the area. There's another method. You can use a computer program. There are a lot of them out there. The computer program is already set up. For an example, there's one called AnyRail. It's something that I've used. I enjoy it very much, and that's what we plan on using for this. Now, it's important to mention the videos are for fun. They're a way of sharing with the community and sharing with friends and friends that I haven't made yet. There's no sponsorship here, okay? I'm telling you about what works and what doesn't. So for track design, in our case, we're going to use AnyRail or just computer. AnyRail is a free download that you can do. It has a lot of track libraries in there. You can do elevations, and you download it, work with it, see what you think. I like it a lot. I'm going to be using AnyRail to design this. Now that we have our basic idea all done, it's time to get to the design and figure out what we want to do and how we want to do it.